I may have mentioned to you that in the past it has been very, very hot. Now today, can you feel that cool breeze, Stuart?
It's very nice.
Isn't it delightful? But yesterday it was 104, and the day before that it was 102. So I did not want to be out in the garden in the afternoon, so I decided to go thrifting instead. And I haven't done a thrift and style in a while, and so I decided to do one today. Now, a couple of additional notes. Stuart and I, we have started doing a lot more YouTube lives, both strictly for just members only, but also for all of you out there. If you are subscribed, you can listen to all of the large ones that we do. If you're a member, it's a more intimate gathering. Stuart, have I forgotten anything about how that works?
I don't think so.
Okay, and we try to put enough information up there so you know when there is one, so you can set a notification. The other thing is, a number of you have commented recently that the audio hasn't been great, and it's because one of our mics went out. Mics are not inexpensive, so we had to replace some of them. We're still waiting on some of that equipment, but we will be back up, and hopefully so many more people are part of our videos now that there's more people to mic, including Stuart, who I think now has his own personal fan club, don't you, Stuart?
We'll see.
Okay, so first of all, I want to talk a little bit about my point of inspiration for this, because I'm going to go over a number of different things I bought and how I plan on styling them. And by the way, I was there because I dropped off a big load of things. So I had been looking at this India Hick's Entertaining Style book. I love her vibe. And especially now, I'm really liking some of the tropical entertaining elements that she has in her book. This is India Hick's An Entertaining Story, and I will put a link. This did not come from the thrift store, but I bought this online. But it was a great muse for me because it gave me so many ideas that I don't know that I would have thought of if I hadn't been looking at this before I went to the thrift store. So number one, just here's a tip right here. Just look at this fabulous tablescape. You could easily go to the thrift store and recreate this with nothing but the inexpensive glassware that they have in the glassware section. Most of those pieces are under $5, most are even less than that, and you could really create a very elegant and captivating look just with glassware, which is one of the things that is always on my list as a category to look at when I go to the thrift store. So here was my first purchase. As soon as I saw this green glass bowl, and I've not filled it in its entirety. Stuart, can I move this to a different location where it's a little bit easier for you to see? But I loved it. It is ribbed, and as soon as I saw it, I thought this would look adorable with some of that fiber, that natural fiber foam that I love so much, and just a real summery bouquet. I pictured it with nothing but daisies in it, actually, and that's probably how I will style it when I give it to a friend of mine who is recovering from COVID, and she is a color lover. So I'm going to make her a little bouquet. I believe this was under $3, but I love it. Can you see the green? Did I capture the green? Oh, it was $2.69. Okay, very good. I didn't remember where the...
Did I read that right?
Yeah, I think so. I couldn't remember where the tag was on this. But this would also be really cute if you wanted to just gift some granola in it, or some Chex Mix or something at Christmas time in this green. You could use it for a number of different things. But this in particular, I am going to make a little arrangement for her and give it to a friend of mine who is recovering from COVID, because it seems like everybody has COVID right now. Something that I'm always looking for also when I go are any kind of really tall vessels. I don't necessarily care if they are metal or not. Sometimes they're going to be glass, sometimes they might even be plastic. But if I am, and I gift these a lot because I'll cut large bouquets from my garden and then I will just gift the entire thing to someone. So I'm always on the lookout for these kind of floral buckets. I think this one was, it started out, surely that's not right. This is part of Ashland fall selection. This was a Michael's original, and I think this one was about $3. And again, I got this because I was looking for the shape, not necessarily the metal, though that's another category that I always go for.
Very much a Linda.
It is. Is it a Linda thing? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this, I'm not sure. This might be my favorite thing. It's one of the 2 favorite things I got yesterday. So there is in this book, I believe I saw it in this book, a fabulous tablescape. Can you imagine how it will look on my long outdoor table that had a centerpiece? This is just a lightweight brass tray. And it was, Stuart, $3.99. It was $3.99. And I immediately knew from looking at it that 2 of my blocks of this fiber foam, this natural fiber foam, would fit in here perfectly. So I could use this for fresh flowers. I definitely will be using it Christmas time with fresh greenery, maybe pomegranates and pine cones. And I can just see it absolutely beautiful in the wintertime. But you know how I'm going to use it this summer, Stuart?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to create a tropical fruit tablescape. So I'm going to put I'm going to get sticks and I'm going to put a pineapple on here. I'm going to put probably some kiwis, some guava, just whatever kind of tropical fruits I can find. Maybe some plantains that will hang over the edge. And then I'll use maybe some of my fig leaves from the garden or something to really give it a tropical vibe. Won't that be incredible? And all for under $3, and so many different ways. The other way I can use this is if I wanted to line up. I don't have any skinny. Well, maybe I do. Let me move over here for a minute, Stuart. I'm going to get out of the light. But the other way I can imagine using it is at Christmas time with several of my beloved topiaries all lined up. And I will mulch them in things like miniature clementines or baby pine cones or dried beans or something like that. It would also be exquisite to do this same kind of floral scape in the fall with fall leaves, fresh fall leaves with pears, both red and green pears, maybe even some dried floral foliage, some berries, and that would be absolutely wonderful on a Thanksgiving table. So this, like I say, this may have been one of my favorite scores. And let me see, it doesn't have any markings on it, but it does have little protective feet on it. So it's already got that there, and it's lightweight, so I really like that.
You could put those little volunteer what are they, little?
Oh yeah, my little shop, my garden Christmas trees on it. Great idea, Stuart. See, I'm rubbing off on you. Okay, here's something else that I just love, because these remind me of my second mom. She loved primitives, early American type antiques and things, and this is just a crock that normally you find at antique stores and things. Oops, I lost one of my zinnias. But this will be very, very dear with nothing but like a jelly jar bouquet in it. Just fresh cuts from the garden, whatever is in bloom. Very, very summery, and this will be very cute sitting on my kitchen counter. Again, it wasn't so expensive that I couldn't gift it to someone, and so I'm always looking out for flower vases that are inexpensive, thrifted finds that could be useful and give someone a smile. Okay, so now I'm going to shift gears for a minute and see if Stuart remembers this, because I always get a kick when I go to Goodwill for 2 things. One, if I see something that I liked before but didn't get, and if I still liked it, if it was still there when I went back. I also get a kick when I'm going through there and I see clothing that I have donated. It's hanging on the rack and I recognize it. So Stuart, that said, do you recognize this skirt?
Oh yeah.
This I just loved it. I just absolutely loved it. And at the time I thought, oh, I didn't really need it. But then I began to think that I had a chocolate cashmere sweater that would go with this in the fall with some brown boots. I could wear a really wonderful wrapped belt with it. So when I began to think about how well it would segue from summer into fall, I thought I needed to have it. But right now it would look great with just a top like this, maybe tied at the waist with some sandals. I just really like it. This was H&M, and this was $5.79. It was a little big, but nevertheless, I think it's really, really cute, and I love the fabric, and it spoke to me. And also it spoke to me because it's got this kind of tropical botanical print, which was my muse for today. So what do you think, Stuart?
I like the design on it a lot.
You don't like the you don't like the style of it?
Well, I like the design. I like all of it, but the design on it's very I don't know, it's almost modern.
It's modern, and it's very graphic, which I think is really,
I guess that's the
it's
term
graphic,
I'm
it's
looking
really
for.
contemporary. And Stuart and I, when we work on some of our other kinds of content. By the way, if you're an LV insider, I can't remember at which level, we have wallpapers for you, digital wallpapers for you. All you have to do is send an email to support@lindavater.com, and we will get you those digital wallpapers. There might be a different way that Stuart can put those up. But another thing I wanted to remind you of is that if you go to the community tab on YouTube, I'm showing you today the things I came home with, but there were a number of other things I did not come home with. Like this was from my last trip, and I came back with it this trip. But there are a number of things there that I really kind of wanted, but I just decided they fell into that you need this like a hole in the head category. And I took pictures of those, and I will put those in the community tab, and you can tell me if you agree with them or not. Okay, this was one of my other favorite things. This is about as retro as you can get. Okay, this so speaks to these 60s and 70s tomboy in me. Doesn't it, Stuart? I love the fact it has great big old pockets. These so remind me of my sister Terry that lives in North Carolina, who I just really wanted to be when I was growing up. She was the coolest tomboy when she was a preteen of anyone I had ever known. They so remind me of her. So I thought this was so cute. I definitely can see it with all different kinds of sweaters and knits and things in the fall and in the winter. But even in the summer, I can see on one of my trips to Santa Fe or Colorado this summer, just wearing it with a sleeveless chambray top like this and maybe some sandals. What do you think, Stuart? And some turquoise jewelry. Mm-hmm. I really like this look. And again, it kind of reminds me of that 50s, 60s, 70s vibe. It kind of bridges all of those decades. So I really love that. Tell me if you're giving me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on that kind of stuff. And my question of the day, it's kind of buried deep into this video. Stuart, it's your fault. You didn't remind me at the very beginning. Give me my signal. And that is, of all of these things, I want you to let me know at the end which one would catch your eye first. If all of these were just on a table, which would you want to go home with? Okay, look at this. Yeah. Isn't this fabulous?
I love the square at the bottom.
You love it? Yeah, because again, it has that kind of tropical Asian, kind of Indonesian vibe. This did not come from Goodwill. This came from a secondhand store on Western, not too far from here, but not one of my normal haunts. This is K&D Consignment or something like that. This was a little bit more expensive. This was all of, I believe, $25. But I love it. And when I first got it, I had a huge bucket stuffed to the brim of all different colors of larkspur that I got when we went to Simple Acre Farm, Stuart. Do you remember? I had that huge bucket of larkspur, and it fit in here. So I had this entire, just this huge mammoth arrangement of larkspur that was in my living room by the fireplace, and it was absolutely exquisite. But there are so many different ways that you could use to style this. You could put a glass glass container in it, a glass carafe at the bottom with a candle in it, and it would look really cool, illuminating and coming out through all of these crevices of the bamboo and the weave. You could put, obviously you could put things like throws in here. You could use it as a wastebasket. You could use it, well, tell me how you would use it, because I think it's absolutely incredible. If I wanted to use this as a centerpiece on a tablescape, I've often talked about having a baguette party. You could put a really fun cloth in here and then have huge baguettes coming out of here and breadsticks and things, and that would be really fun. So again, let me know how you would style it if this was in your larder or your butler's pantry. Okay, here is another thing that just falls into the category of things I'm always looking for. And this is a glass bowl. This was, this was pricey, Stuart. This was $6.99. But I loved it because it's got this wavy glass finish on it. And by the way, I have not washed this yet because I wanted to leave all the price tags on it so you could see. This attracted me for a number of different reasons. One, I just love fruit in a glass bowl. And I think just things like nothing but citrus, nothing but apples. And then what you can do is just take some greenery from your own garden. Stuart, I'm going to come over here for a minute. This isn't necessarily greenery I would use. I would probably use something that had a glossy foliage to it that actually looked like it was citrus foliage, but then you just tuck in the foliage with whatever fruit you have, and it looks as if it's clipped right off of the tree.
It's been linded.
It's been lindified. It's been lindified, but I love the way that Stuart's making fun of me. Stuart, are you making? You're so making fun of me. But I have to say, Stuart has been gone all week, and I think we were going through withdrawal, weren't we, Stuart?
Yeah,
we really missed each other. So we'll be working a lot this week. So I love this. The other reason I love it is because it makes a great liner for something that is not watertight, if you wanted to use it for flowers, is not watertight or that you don't want to damage. So I have a large copper bowl with a flat bottom that this will sit in, and then I can put water into the glass container without getting water in that copper container. You could also set it into baskets like this. I could set it in here, and I could put candles in here, fill this up with sand and have nothing but votives in there. That would be kind of fun, Stuart, tall votives. The other thing you could do is just fill it up with water and float something like gardenia blooms, or I have magnolia blooms now that I have a magnolia in the front yard, Stuart. Definitely something that was fragrant. You could also float little tea lights or things like that in it, because I think it's big enough. It's just the right size. It's just like Goldilocks' chair. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's just the right size. If you get a bowl that's much larger than this, it's almost cost prohibitive to fill it up with fruit, because it would cost quite a bit to just fill it up with fruit. But this way I can fill it up with a bag of oranges and clementines would be wonderful. Oranges and clementines that were studded with cloves at Christmas time, again with some greenery in there, would be fabulous. So it just seemed like it was so multifunctional. It would also be great in your bathroom with sponges, with soaps, with loofahs, with anything like that. This would be a great addition to a bathroom. It would also be great as a gift. You could wash it out and just fill it with all sorts of lovely things to give to someone as a gift. So this just fell into that generic category of wonderful. If you ask me. Stuart, do you agree?
I agree.
You agree. Okay, you concur. So I think my last thing, I was really ambivalent on this, and I didn't know whether I wanted to come home with these or not. because they kind of also did fall into I need this like a hole in the head category. However, because they were so multifunctional and would be so expensive if I bought them originally, that I decided that I just had to have them. I went back and forth several times on these. And these are wonderful metal chargers. Now, these were $3.99 a piece. They are pretty heavy, Stuart, and they're hot because they've been sitting in the sun.
Oh, they are heavy.
Yes, they are heavy. These started out, this was Hearth and Hand. You guys might tell me. Again, these were made in India, very much inspired then by my muse, and metal trays, but it's part of that Magnolia line with Magnolia. I think that's Joanna Gaines, so maybe this was from Target. I can't remember. If you know, let me know. They came with these little protective pads on the bottom, and they were probably there because someone originally had 8 of them and now there were just 7. So definitely I could handle a table of 6 and use one as a centerpiece. So I could dress these up. I could dress them down. I think they would be fabulous, excuse me, at Christmas time with my green malachite Christian Dior china, and use this as a charger because it's got gold around the rim and this would pick up that gold. I think that would be absolutely wonderful, but it would equally be just wonderful dressed down if you have any kind of stoneware. If you have like you could put another layer of a raffia or a basket weave charger over this and then layer another plate in the center. So many different ways that you could use it. Just classic white would also be wonderful. And it would also be fun to use this as a serving tray, and I don't have one, Stuart, but wouldn't this look magnificent on one of my QVC galvanized metal plant stands? And you could have several of these if you are entertaining and you have a buffet or a groaning board, have them at different levels filled with all sorts of different confections. I think that would just be absolutely sublime, wouldn't it, Stuart?
You're an idea machine.
I'm an idea machine. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they fall flat. But I have 7 of these. Now, another reason that I got them, because I thought these would just be brilliant. Okay, that's another idea. Look, you could put that. You could fill that with fruits, Stuart.
She trips over ideas.
I trips over ideas. Now, seriously, you could get galvanized metal spray paint, and you could spray paint lots of leaves and pine cones and fruit and things and put that in there in this glass bowl, then put this on top and use it as I don't know, just use it as something fun. You could fill it up with flowers and floating something in there, put this on top, and then put a beautiful pie or something on the top. But one of the reasons that I just had to bring them home was because they will be wonderful as I like to use a more dressed up saucer that's waterproof for my topiaries and for just different house plants and things that I have in my house. So Stuart, do you concur? Do you agree with all of my purchases?
Absolutely. So
I came home with not this, but all of the rest of this stuff. And I also, somebody challenged me yesterday right before I got in the car to leave, they challenged me to do some kind of random act of kindness while I was out and about. And you know how you often, Stuart, you'll pay for the person at McDonald's, whoever is next in line or whatever. And so this time I just paid for who was ever next in line of me at Goodwill, and they didn't mind because I told them I'm sorry, but I have this as a challenge I have to do. It's a random act of kindness, and I have to show proof before I get home. So that was fun. So I bought somebody they had found a full-length mirror there and a book on the first year of pregnancy. So there weren't more people than that in line. So all of that in totality was $58. So what do you think, Stuart?
Well done.
Well done me?
Mm-hmm.
Well done me. Okay, so, and look at this, Stuart. Looky here. We have an ensemble here. We have a matching ensemble. So I think if I did this, I would have great big breadsticks and stuff coming out of this. And here I would have an assortment of cheeses and like a mini charcuterie. And so the idea machine.
There you go.
The idea machine is just humming. Okay, so I asked everybody what was your favorite thing that you would want to go home with. Stuart, what thing would be your dibs?
Probably the basket.
This basket?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I don't know. I need to decorate my house better.
Okay, well we're gonna try to do some of that. We've got a full day meeting at your house tomorrow, Stuart. I don't know if you remember,
I forgot.
but Carrie, my creative director, and I, and Stuart's mom, who helps us out with some things, and Stuart, we're doing a little sabbatical at Stuart. Stuart's got kind of a cool office, so we're gonna go there and we're gonna do some things. So maybe I will give you some styling tips, some free styling tips.
Woo.
Free styling tips while I'm there. Okay, have we forgotten anything, Stuart? Other than, make sure to check the community tab, you guys. And by the way,
look out for shorts.
oh yes, thank you. We are starting this whole new fun thing. I'm loving it because it's very self-serving, and anything that is self-serving, I really love. And and shorts is self-serving because it's going to give me a daily log of what I have done each day in the garden or in garden-related activities. So we're going to try to do this almost every day, and we're calling it Today in the Garden. And each day I'll be putting up a minute short. And how do people find
That's
shorts?
what I was about to say. Only
Okay.
from their phone.
Okay.
And there's just a thing at the bottom of I'm trying to talk loud enough so I'm close enough to the mic. There we go. All right. At the bottom of your phone in the YouTube app, there'll be a one of the buttons says Shorts. Click there, and I think that's how you get to it.
Yeah.
More info to come.
Yeah, and they're just, if you only have time for, I know I can be long-winded, and some of you like that and some of you don't, but some of you, quite frankly, just love it, but you don't have the time. So if you want to know what I'm doing in the garden on that day or what's happening in the garden on that day, then you go to these shorts, and it will say in the garden today, and it is in real time, in the moment, what I plan to do in the garden or in garden-related activities for that day. And then they'll be there under a playlist. Will we put them in a playlist?
Yeah, we can
Stuart?
start a playlist.
We'll start a playlist so that you can go there and I'm even each day giving you the date. So for my own edification, I can go back in time and say, oh, this is what I was doing last year on this date at this time. So I think it will also have some historical relevance. It's something that you might even want to do. And we're also coming up with a way that you guys can share some of your content with me and with everyone else via a hashtag. But we're going to make that announcement a little bit later. So many of you send me wonderful pictures in so many different forums and things. This will be one way that all of that information can be shared very, very easily. Now, is there anything that we've forgotten, Stuart? Think not. Okay. For those of you that are members, even though this will air after we do YouTube Live, we're doing a YouTube Live for members only. There's to become a member, you just click the join button. There's 2 different levels at $2.99 and $4.99 that have different kinds of perks that we're adding to with regularity. And so that is the finale. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and helping me style some of these thrifted items. Well, my fashion epilogue today is very much inspired by a conversation I had with my darling daughter-in-law in Singapore, and we were talking about some of the music that's going to be at their wedding in September, and some of it's going to be Bollywood because she and her husband, my son, met in India. So my outfit is kind of inspired by that. So I got some new sunglasses, a great way, by the way, a relatively inexpensive way to kind of update your wardrobe if you want something that feels just a little bit more modern and a little bit more contemporary. I love these. Stuart, we've got to put a link to these. They were $26 and I got them online, but I really like them. They're a little bit more elegant and less sporty than I normally wear, so I like that. My top, so this is, Stuart said I kind of had an Asian vibe going today. And again, that was very much inspired by my daughter-in-law, and also inspired by the fact that this year I'm all about loose and cool, not constricted, and I guess maybe a little bit more preppy and form-fitting. Now, there's an argument to be made that when you wear large clothing and loose clothing like this, it makes you look a little bit heavier, but I don't really care. I just think it's cooler, and I think it's still stylish. What do you think, Stuart?
I like it.
Okay. Of course, what are you going to say? So my top, I love this. It is a brand that I have found on Amazon, and I love it. I think this was made in India. It's got some embroidery on it. It's scaled to be rather oversized, and I've gotten a number of different pieces from them, so I will put a link to this too. And I also like the fact that I don't care that it's not really pressed. I think it looks a little bit more natural and a little bit more of an East Indian vibe, kind of more of a Banana Republic vibe when it is not pressed. So I really like it. I also love the collar on this because you can have it upward in a more, I guess, a Nehru fashion, or you can fold it down if you wanted to wear a statement necklace. My breeches are just elastic at the waist, and I got these. They do have pockets, so I really like them, and I got these at Eden, which is a local little boutique in the Paseo area. My shoes, my sandals, I got off of, where did I get these? Target. My bracelets, this was a gift from my husband for Mother's Day many years ago, and this belonged to my second mother. And my watch, I've just had it for years, and I still love, I don't know if they're still fashionable or not, but I still love really big statement watches. And these are some of my favorite earrings from Atrios Tiles. You guys know I love her line of jewelry. So Stuart, we've got to remember to put in the links this time. If we don't, you guys remind me, and we will put them in.